First, let's go ahead and get started with again, the sponsor of today's meeting, and has been, again, a longtime sponsor of FRAPSA, Merrick and Company. Merrick is a FRAPSA sponsor and provides laboratory, architectural, engineering, commissioning, and operational support services. The presentation will be made by Brad Anderson, Senior Vice President for Merrick, in charge of life sciences, and John Wright, who is their Senior Project Manager. They'll be introducing their company and talking specifically about lab transition planning services. Brad and John, thank you for taking time today to do the presentation.
Great. Thank you so much. And good afternoon, everyone. Unless you're in a time zone west of here, I assume there's probably not too many of you there, but we're very pleased to be here representing Merrick and Company. And I think, John, there we go. We're getting the first slide up. I just wanted to say a couple words. This is, Merrick's really pleased to be a sponsor for FRAPSA. FRAPSA is a great organization, and we've been involved for a number of years, and we just see lots of great things. There's lots of great people with a passion for this industry, and we like to think we're part of that and can help support it. So today I'm gonna start off by saying just a few words about Merrick as a company, and then John will pick it up from there and talk about our topic today. So next slide, please, John. So our company is really quite unique. We have a number of different service lines that we provide, but one of the things that makes us most unique, I think, is that we really focus on the importance of our values and our mission, and we like to think that we're a part of providing solutions to lots of things that happen in the life science industry. One of the things that I think is kind of most important is that we are an employee-owned company, which means we all have a little bit of stake in the success of the company, and we're proud of it. We're proud of what it's become. It's grown a lot in the last few years, and especially during the time of the pandemic, our little life science industry has grown considerably at Merrick. So I won't carry on too much further, but let's go to the next slide, John. Great. So this gives you just a sense of the different lines of services that Merrick offers. We have a group that does work in the energy industry, oil and gas, and different types of products and services, bioprocessing, power, chemicals, et cetera. We also have a group that's focused on national security, and they do a lot of work for the Department of Defense in the NNSA and the aerospace industries. And then my favorite, of course, is our life science team. And John and I are part of the life science industry, and we've been providing services to the U.S. government, to universities and private sector clients. Actually, we've done work all around the world for global health security and biosafety and biosecurity. And then lastly, we do have an infrastructure team that works on water, transportation, and land development kinds of issues. Next slide. We are a bit spread out. Our headquarters, though, is here in Denver, and we have about 750 employees at this point. We like to think that our life science team is a bit of the pointy end of the spear. We have actually got most of the international offices are within our team. We have an office in Canada, one in Mexico. We have folks in the UK, and we've done work, as I mentioned, all around the globe. Next slide. So the thing that's kind of most important to us is we like to really ask the question why. It's important to us, for our people and for our clients and for all of us working on a project, to really understand why we're doing what we're doing. That is a key point. You'll find that when we get on a project that we will do a lot of listening, because we know that as much experience as we have, there's always something new, and there's always something different about every project that the owners and the users of a facility will know that we don't, and we need to get that information to be most successful. We are quite diverse. When I first started at the company, we had a bunch of architects and engineers, and since then, we've been hiring scientists, veterinarians, public health professionals, folks that are versed in biotechnologies and biosafety, biosecurity. You can't go anywhere without IT and cybersecurity anymore. So those are really all part and parcel of the Merrick team and the services that we can provide. Next slide. So at this point, I want to just quickly kick off the topic for today. Any of you who have been involved in a project that has a new facility and you're having to transition from an old one to a new one, or if one has been renovated and remodeled and you're about to try and make that change, it doesn't happen as easily as flipping a switch. And there are many, many cases in work we've done for USDA and for private sector clients and universities where with a brand new facility, they find that even though it's done, it takes them sometimes months, even years to get moved in and up and running within that facility. And John's presentation today is going to talk a little bit about some of the things that Merrick can do and that you all can do as a team to help facilitate and smooth out that transition. So without further ado, I'd like to introduce John Wright.
Thanks, Brad. Appreciate it. Welcome, everyone, to this presentation. I'm really excited to talk to you all today about this service area that Merrick is offering to its clients. It's a relatively new service area. It's only been around for the last couple of years, and it's one of our fastest growing offerings within the business unit. So I want to start by what I'm going to do is describe what is operational and scientific planning. I'm going to give you kind of our process that we use to walk through with our clients. And then I'm going to give you some examples of products that we've done or that we produce for our clients. So I'm going to start off with a few graphics. I like to think of operational and science planning. I also call it transition planning. So if I use that phrase, forgive me, it means the same thing. As the bridge between when a facility has been constructed and commissioned to when the scientific capability is fully operational and achieves steady state. So kind of the traditional thought is, amongst many of our clients is, okay, we're focused on building this lab. We got it constructed. We got it commissioned. Now we're going to move in tomorrow. Well, that almost never happens. And there's a lot of planning that goes into bridging that gap between finishing the construction of a facility and standing up its operations. But a lot of folks don't give much attention to that transition. So what ends up happening, as you can see on the reality bar down here below, is that you can have a rather lengthy gap between when the facility is done to when you actually stand up your scientific activities. So what we are trying to do here at Merrick and what we offer our clients is these transition planning services that seek to reduce that gap between when a facility is completed and when science can begin. There's a lot of cost and schedule savings associated with that, and so having a good plan in place is key to reducing those risks. So what do? We have kind of a four-step process that we follow here at Merrick that we walk our clients through depending on their stage of the move-in process. But typically we like to start out with a visioning exercise with our clients. That's where we sit down and define with them how their facility is going to operate, new facility is going to operate long-term. We work on gathering the requirements between with the leadership and with stakeholders. We like to do this in person through workshops, but as you all know, with COVID, it's been extremely disruptive. So we've been doing this through phone calls and other means. Planning that really speaks to our ability to sit down and develop some strategic plans with our clients to help them with that transition process. And execution really refers to putting those plans in place. And we have staff here at Merrick that are available on an on-call basis or on-site basis for helping coordinate actual execution. So let me dive into this a little bit further. So it's really important, step one in our process is to work with our clients to establish a vision. This is think of it as an operational model, for the future operation of the facility. So this document typically defines, key information. Who's the executive team? What's What's the management organization look like? What's the science mission? And then it also describes the culture of accountability. How are you going to manage quality in the lab? What's the regulatory or compliance environment look like in the facility? How is safety and security going to be run? Depends on the agents involved at the lab. So we work with our clients, or we try to work with our clients to document this information so that they have at the ready kind of a model that shows how that facility is going to operate for the future. What we'd like to do is we're in the asking questions business here. We ask a lot of questions to kind of tease out the information necessary to make these transitions most successful. For example, a lot of these labs, there's been a long period of time between when the facility was designed to when it was constructed. So are there new technologies, for example, that need to be leveraged and need to be integrated into how that new building is going to be administrated? Another question that we commonly ask is, when was the last time the PIs or scientists were involved in the design? Is there time to revisit that now to make sure that whatever is being constructed leverages new scientific capability to the extent possible? So again, we ask a lot of questions when helping our clients establish this vision. And really, we try to prod our clients to look way down the road, 10 years or more, in terms of what their lab programs may look like, so that this vision document is all encompassing. So some past performance examples, we are fortunate enough to have a contract with USDA in the operational stand-up of the National Agro and Biodefense Facility being built in Manhattan, Kansas, right adjacent to Kansas State University's campus. Probably many of you are familiar with this facility. It's a $1 billion new construction. And the existing operations located at Plum Island, New York, are going to be moving here shortly across country into this new ABSL Level 4 laboratory. So it's a super exciting project. And going back to the vision process, we sat down with USDA and DHS early on to develop their operational model for the facility, which really is kind of the architecture document as to how this facility is going to operate for the future. And then this document was kind of the seed for a lot of follow-on planning activities and exercises that we've done with USDA over the last couple of years. And there's more to follow on that. Our second step in our process is we help our clients gather requirements. So again, we like to start this process as the facility is early on in construction, or even before then, because we want to make sure that things that need to be considered are factored into the new building. A couple examples include information technology. Based on the design, which may have been some time ago, is there a gap now that exists between what the users expect to receive and what the infrastructure is capable of providing? Is there a way to bridge that gap? Another important question is, has your IT or other systems been benchmarked against other labs that are considered a success? Looking out across the waterfront and identifying those best practices is an important step. What about training and procedure programs? What new training needs to be developed or modified? How about SOPs? I'm sure there's going to be new SOPs needed to run a new facility. What's the timeline for revising those? We would argue that the day the facility is commissioned is not the time to be thinking about that. We work with our clients to do that well in advance. A couple other key categories for requirements gathering includes, what's the construction and commissioning interface? Okay, great. The GC has built the lab, he's commissioned the lab, but are future operators of the lab actually shadowing the folks that are responsible for starting up the lab? Another important question are the consumables and equipment going to be in place to complete commissioning or to conduct the endurance period for the lab, or for steady state operations, and what's the timeline associated with that? Another key topical area is transitioning in. Has the endurance run or burn-in period been defined? You know, typically the endurance run is a contractual requirement of the GC. They have, 30 days to kind of try to force fail the building to see how the building responds, to make sure that it's, running as intended. But burn-in is typically focused on science. What are you going to do on day one to start burning in your scientific programs? Another important point here is, how are materials and people and animals going to move into the lab, and in what order? Another really important question that I've come across in working with the clients is, are dual operations required? Does the client need to keep operating activities at their existing facility in parallel to standing up their operation, or can they stand it completely down and restart in the new facility? All important questions that need to be considered as part of transition. So we've been fortunate enough to, again, work with some clients on developing these requirement type packages. This one here is, we worked closely with USDA on the NBAF IT requirements package, where we kind of defined the IT architecture at a low level in terms of what they needed in that facility to integrate their science programs and administrative programs. It also included recommendations for best hardware, again, using that benchmark process by looking at other labs and seeing what they're doing. Another cool example of where we helped a client, again, this is with NBAF, is developing a master equipment list. And we worked with them to create a comprehensive catalog of all their fixed laboratory equipment, benchtop equipment, and the consumables that they needed to support science, both at startup and at steady state. So it's a massive document that can be sorted and distilled based on what you need, that USDA's procurement department is using now to order things well in advance of when they're needed, so that this transition process to science goes more smoothly. Another cool thing we did as part of this process is we took the room data sheets that were part of the design package, which kind of shows the layout of each lab and the fixed equipment, and we overlaid that with the benchtop equipment that's being ordered to support science, so that there's no confusion when equipment shows up on site as to where that piece of equipment goes. So another really cool tool that we helped develop for our client. And the third step of our process is program planning. And this is where we get really tactical with our clients, where we develop some really strategic plans that they need in their hands to help with this transition process. One of those deliverables that we keep coming back to with several of our clients is the integrated operations schedule. This is a detail of activities. Think of it as from commissioning forward, of all the activities that need to be done to successfully move into a new facility. And we work with the stakeholders to define those activities and those critical path elements that, if missed, could impact stand-up more significantly. So some cool examples here. We have a client, a new client, relatively new client, the Washington Animal Disease Diagnostic Laboratory, WADL, located in Pullman, Washington. This is on Washington State University's campus. And they are building a new animal disease diagnostic laboratory adjacent to their old facility. And so we are working with them to develop an integrated operations schedule that shows how that transition is going to take place, as well as a transition plan, which I'll speak to here in a moment. And we're also providing reach-back support and on-site services during the move-in period as well. They've realized that they need help during that time frame, and we're going to provide it for them. Not presented here, but something that I've been working on this week is we have been working with the Southeast Poultry Research Lab in Athens, Georgia. This whole week we've been doing an online transition charrette meeting where we are working with them to develop a high-level timeline of how all their operations are going to move into 3 new buildings that are being built on the Athens campus. A little bit more on the transition plan for Wattle. This plan is really interesting, and we recently completed it about a month ago. But it's written by lab section, so each lab section manager can turn to their lab section and see all the things that they need to do, checklists and a variety of other supporting documentation that they can use to successfully identify what it is they need to move over into their new lab and stand up their new lab. So it's a document that doesn't have to be read from cover to cover. It's a document that you can go to by section that tells you exactly what needs to be done in order for you to hit your transition goals. This is a really interesting plan here. This biorepository transfer plan. I think all of us at Merrick wish we were working on this because you're taking these agents, select agents from Plum Island, and you have to move them all the way across the United States to Manhattan, Kansas. Well, how do you do that? What's the security surrounding that? Are you going to move it by land? Are you going to drive it over in truck? Are you going to fly it over? What are the logistics? How do you maintain that cold chain as you move it from the East Coast to the Midwest? So that's a really interesting project that several of our staff have been involved in working with USDA to devise. We are also, for our NBAF client or USDA client and NBAF client, developing an integrated master schedule for them as well. This schedule right now has over 3,000 discrete line items of activities that need to get done to successfully transition. And so we developed this IMS, and they've really adopted it, and they're really using it administratively, and on a monthly basis, we work with them to update it to make sure that it's accurate, timely, so that they can status these activities real time. So that's an ongoing effort on Merrick's part. So how does it all fit together? Again, just to kind of summarize here, we like to work with our clients on developing that operational model and vision if we can. Sometimes that doesn't happen. Sometimes they're further along in the process. That's okay. But we like to, and then, out of that operational model exercise or whatever model they may have in place, we start working with them to develop those requirements packages that I alluded to before. And then, the third step in the process is really developing these tactical plans that they can put in place and act on, internally. And execution is really kind of the culmination of all these steps that we work with our clients to prepare, to include, that day that you actually have to move into the new facility. So I think a lot of the advantages to these services have come out in my presentation already, but just to kind of recap here, having that, what are the key advantages to this process and working with our clients on this process is, by building that vision, you have concurrence from day one. Everyone from the administrative staff to scientific stakeholders to all the folks that are going to be involved in the operation understand what's going to be happening and how the facility is going to be operating. But at the end of the day, the real benefit here is that we are trying to help our clients reduce the time and cost associated from the stand-up of a new facility to achieving steady state. There's a lot of time and cost that can come about due to unnecessary delays. So we really are trying to work with our clients how to effectively shrink that gap. And ultimately, the end goal is to ensure that science is integrated effectively into the new operation and stood up as quickly as possible. And why Merrick? We are uniquely poised to provide these services to our clients. As Brad alluded to, our roots are in biocontainment design and commissioning, but we have a real diverse skill set now within the business unit to include research scientists, animal health scientists, biorisk management personnel. So we can really work with our clients, throughout the process, from helping them design a new facility, commission a new facility, and transition into a new facility. So I feel like we are uniquely positioned in the marketplace to provide clients all these services, a fully integrated package, if you will. Just want to say thank you. These are some of the members of our core team when it comes to transition planning. I would have put Brad down here, but he's actually retiring in a month. So Ryan Burnett is going to be the new VP of Life Sciences here at Merrick. So he's familiar with our service offering. And then we have a variety of other folks shown in the slide that are intimately involved in what we do in the service area. So with that, I want to say thank you. And if there's any questions, happy to answer them.
If there's any questions, you can put those in the chat or the Q&A, either one.
We have a few minutes before we start our next talk at 12:30, so please feel free, as Cynthia said, to go ahead and pose any questions you'd like to John and Brad. They certainly have years of experience in this area and just a broad depth of knowledge, given their depth and breadth of projects that they've done over the years, as you've seen through John's talk.
Great. Thank you very much, Denise. Thanks, everybody. It's been a pleasure.
Thank you.
Thank you, John. Thank you, Brad. Again, a great talk, and as always, we appreciate your support with FRAPSA, so thank you. At 12:30 here in the next